Have you ever felt, in the stillness of a quiet night, a faint whisper of unease ripple through your mind? A fleeting thought that the world around you might not be as certain as it appears. Perhaps it was a moment when the familiar felt suddenly strange, as if the edges of reality shimmered, threatening to dissolve. It's a sensation that lingers, uninvited, in the spaces between sleep and waking, when the mind is most vulnerable to doubt. Picture yourself lying in bed, the world outside hushed, the ceiling above you an endless canvas for wandering thoughts. The darkness presses close, and a question forms, soft but insistent. Is this all there is? Is what I see, what I feel, what I know, truly the whole of existence, or merely a fragment of something far vaster, something hidden just beyond my grasp? This quiet moment of uncertainty is not a flaw, nor a fleeting lapse of reason, but rather an awakening, a gentle crack in the foundation of the ordinary. It's as if, for the first time, you've noticed the invisible threads that hold your understanding of the world together, and you can't help but wonder if they might unravel with a single tug. What if the reality you've always trusted, the solid ground beneath your feet, the rhythm of your days, is not a fixed truth, but a delicate illusion, a story you've told yourself without ever questioning its author? This doubt, though unsettling, is also a doorway. It beckons you to step beyond the familiar, to peer into the unknown with curiosity rather than fear, to ask not just what is real, but why you've accepted it as such for so long. Imagine the weight of that sleepless night, your thoughts spiraling deeper as the hours slip by. The objects in your room, the faint outline of a chair, the muted glow of a clock, seem both real and unreal, as if they exist only because you've chosen to believe in them. And in that fragile stillness, a memory surfaces, a time when you were a child, staring at the sky, wondering if the stars were truly there or merely tricks of light painted on an endless dome. Back then, the world was full of mysteries, each one an invitation to wonder. But as the years passed, those questions faded, replaced by certainties, by routines, by the comforting illusion of knowing. Yet now, in this quiet hour, that childlike curiosity stirs again, whispering that perhaps you've only seen a sliver of what is possible, that reality might be a veil, thin and trembling, waiting to be lifted. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind linger on a memory of doubt, a time when the world felt less certain, less solid. Can you recall the texture of that unease, the way it both frightened and fascinated you? What if that feeling was not a burden, but a gift, a sign that you're ready to see beyond the surface, to journey into the vast, uncharted territory of the unknown? This is where our exploration begins, not with loud proclamations or rigid answers, but with a whisper, a shiver of uncertainty that asks you to look closer, to feel deeper. Reality, as we know it, may be a construct of senses, of beliefs, of stories we've inherited and never thought to question. But what lies beneath? What truths or illusions await us when we dare to peel back the layers of the ordinary? This path is not one of certainty, but of wonder, a slow and deliberate unraveling of everything we've taken for granted. And as you lie there, in the quiet of your own night, know that this doubt, this awakening, is the first step on a journey into the heart of the unknown. A journey that might change not just how you see the world, but how you see yourself within it. Imagine for a moment that you're lost in a vast, endless desert, the sun a merciless weight above you, pressing down with unrelenting heat. Your throat is dry, your steps falter, and then, in the distance, a shimmering vision appears. An oasis, a pool of crystal water surrounded by swaying palms. Relief floods through you as you stumble forward, driven by the promise of salvation. But as you draw closer, the image wavers, dissolving into nothing but sand and heat haze. It was never there. A mirage, a trick of light and longing, so vivid, so real, until it wasn't. What if the very tools we trust to guide us through life Our senses are weaving illusions just as deceptive as that desert mirage. What if the world we touch, see, and hear is not the bedrock of truth we assume it to be? Let's linger on this thought, allowing it to unfold slowly, like the first ripples on a still lake. Our senses, sight, sound, touch, taste, smell, are the lenses through which we build our reality. They are the architects of our understanding, crafting a world of color, texture, and meaning. When you run your fingers along the rough bark of a tree, when you hear the distant call of a bird, or when the scent of rain-soaked earth fills your lungs, it feels undeniable, solid, true. But consider how often these same senses have betrayed us. Think of the times you've seen a shadow in the dark and felt your heart race, only to realize it was nothing but a coat hanging on a door, or recall a dream so vivid that for a fleeting moment upon waking, you couldn't tell which world was the real one, the one in your mind or the one before your eyes. In that hazy space between sleep and consciousness, the boundary blurs, and a quiet, unsettling question emerges. If my senses can conjure a reality so convincing in a dream, how can I be certain they aren't doing the same right now? This isn't a new suspicion. Across centuries, thinkers and wanderers have puzzled over the reliability of perception. In ancient times, travelers in deserts learned to distrust the shimmering horizons, knowing that their eyes could paint fantasies born of desperation. Even today, science shows us how easily we're fooled. Optical illusions twist straight lines into curves, colors shift under different lights, and a single sound in the night can morph into a dozen imagined threats. Our senses are not flawless mirrors of the world. They are interpreters, prone to error, shaped by expectation and memory. They tell us stories, but not always true ones. If a mirage can seem as real as water, if a dream can feel as tangible as the ground beneath us, then what anchors us to certainty? How do we know that the reality we cling to isn't just another illusion, a more persistent mirage we've yet to see through? Take a moment to reflect on this. Close your eyes if you wish, and think of a time when your senses misled you. A sight, a sound, a feeling that seemed so certain, only to unravel as something else entirely. Let that memory sit with you, not as a betrayal, but as a quiet reminder of how fragile our grasp on truth can be. Now, let's deepen this mystery. If our senses can deceive us in small ways, what of the larger tapestry they weave, the very foundation of what we call real? Philosophers have long wrestled with this, from the ancients who questioned the nature of perception to modern minds, probing the limits of consciousness. Consider the possibility that what we experience isn't a direct encounter with the world, but a filtered interpretation, a painting rather than a photograph. Every sensation is processed, colored by our minds, shaped by what we've learned and what we fear. A desert mirage isn't just a trick of light, it's a product of hope, of a mind yearning for rescue. In the same way, could our daily reality be shaped not by what is, but by what we need it to be? If our senses are storytellers, spinning tales from the raw chaos of existence, then are we truly seeing the world, or merely the story we've told ourselves about it? This question doesn't demand an answer, not yet. It hovers like a faint mist over a quiet field at dawn, inviting us to wonder rather than to conclude. Perhaps the senses are not deceivers in a cruel sense, but artists, crafting a version of reality we can bear to live in. Or perhaps they are veils, obscuring a deeper truth we're not yet ready to face. Whatever the case, this uncertainty plants a seed of doubt, a whisper that the world might not be as solid as it seems. As we sit with this thought, let it settle gently, not as a source of fear, but as an invitation to look closer, to question the familiar, to peer beyond the shimmering surface of what we think we know. For if our senses can lie, then the foundation of reality itself might be less a rock and more a reflection, beautiful, fleeting, and far less certain than we ever imagined. Imagine for a moment that you are bound by invisible chains, not of iron or steel, but of belief. Picture yourself in a cavern deep beneath the earth, where the only light comes from a flickering fire behind you. Shadows dance on the rough stone wall before your eyes, shapes of men, animals, objects, moving as if alive. These shadows are all you've ever known, all you've ever called real. Their forms are your world, their motions your history. But what if I told you that these are mere illusions, projections of something greater, something you've never dared to turn and see? What if the truth lies just beyond the reach of your gaze, hidden by the very chains that hold you? Let us journey back to ancient Greece, to a time when a philosopher named Plato crafted a story that would echo through the ages. He spoke of prisoners, bound since birth in this dark cave, their heads fixed forward, unable to turn or look away. They are captives not just of their bodies, but of their minds, accepting the shadows as the whole of reality. They name them, argue over them, build their lives around these fleeting forms. To them, the shadow of a bird is a bird, the shadow of a man is a man. But they are wrong. Beyond their sight, unseen hands hold objects before the fire, casting these illusions. And beyond even that, outside the cave, lies a world of blinding light, a world of true forms, of sun and sky and substance. Consider the plight of one prisoner, chosen by some unseen force to be freed. The chains fall away, and for the first time, he turns his head. The fire behind him burns his eyes, a searing pain he cannot comprehend. He recoils, longing for the comfort of the shadows, for the familiar world he understood. But he is dragged forward, forced to face the objects that cast those shapes, to see that what he thought was real was only a pale imitation. And then he is pulled further, out of the cave itself, into the unbearable brilliance of the sun. That, hey, light is agony, a truth so vast it threatens to shatter him. He stumbles, blind and terrified, unable to grasp the reality that now surrounds him. The grass beneath his feet, the warmth on his skin, the endless blue above. It is all too much, too different from the dim, predictable world of the cave. Take a moment to reflect on this. What would it feel like to have everything you've ever known stripped away, to be confronted with a truth so alien it feels like a lie? Could you bear the pain of that light? Or would you too yearn to return to the shadows? Plato's tale is not merely a story of prisoners and caves, but a mirror held up to our own existence. Are we not, in some way, like those bound souls, tethered to illusions we mistake for truth? We live in a world of appearances, of surfaces we accept without question, the news we consume, the beliefs we inherit, the roles we play. How many of these are shadows cast by forces we cannot see? How often do we cling to the familiar, even when whispers of doubt urge us to turn our heads, to seek the source of the light? The journey out of the cave is not a simple one. It is fraught with discomfort, with the terror of the unknown. To question what we've always known is to risk losing our footing, to stumble into a reality that might not welcome us with open arms. And yet, there is something in us that yearns for that light, isn't there? A quiet, persistent ache to know, to see beyond the veil of illusion. But what if the light reveals a truth we cannot bear? What if, like the prisoner, we find that the real world is too vast, too bright, too unlike anything we've prepared ourselves to face? Perhaps this is why so many of us remain in our caves, content with the shadows, afraid of the pain that comes with freedom. Or perhaps we are already on that journey, dragged unwillingly toward a truth we cannot yet name, each step a struggle against the weight of our own resistance. Let this thought linger as you rest in this moment. Are we too chained to shadows we dare not name? Are we prisoners of a reality we've never thought to question, mistaking the flicker of illusion for the warmth of truth? The cave is not just a place in a story. It is a state of mind, a condition of the soul. And the light, though painful, waits for those who dare to seek it, whispering of a world beyond the one we see. Have you ever woken from a dream so vivid, so tangible, that for a fleeting heartbeat, you couldn't tell which world held the greater claim to truth? The sheets beneath you felt real. The light creeping through the window seemed certain, and yet, a lingering whisper of doubt curled at the edges of your mind. What if this, too, is just another layer of slumber? What if the life you're living now, with all its weight and color, is nothing more than a dream from which you've yet to stir? Let this question settle over you, like a soft, heavy fog, as we wander into the realm of radical doubt, a place where the very fabric of reality frays at the touch of thought. Picture yourself in that fragile moment of waking, your heart still racing from a world that felt as solid as this one. Perhaps you were walking through a city you've never seen, yet every cobblestone and shadowed alley was intimately known to you. Or maybe you were speaking to someone long gone, their voice as clear as if they stood beside you. The dream held you so completely that when your eyes fluttered open, there was a pang of loss, a disorientation, as if you'd been torn from one reality and thrust into another. And in that sliver of time, before the familiar shapes of your room anchored you, didn't you wonder? How do I know this is the true waking world? How can I be certain that I'm not still asleep, caught in a deeper dream, one so intricate that even doubt itself is part of its design? This is the seed of what the philosopher René Descartes planted centuries ago, a seed of skepticism so profound it uproots the very ground we stand on. He asked himself, and now, through the echo of his words, asks us, if there is any way to prove that what we experience as reality isn't merely an illusion crafted by our own minds. Descartes sat by the flickering light of a fire, wrapped in the solitude of his thoughts, and dared to imagine that everything he knew, every sensation, every certainty, could be the work of a dream. Or worse, the deception of some unseen force, a trickster weaving a tapestry of falsehood so seamless that even the act of questioning it might be part of the ruse. Can you feel the weight of that uncertainty? It's not a loud, jarring fear, but a quiet, persistent murmur, like the sound of wind moving through an empty house in the dead of night. Consider for a moment the dreams you've had that felt so real, so immediate, that they left a residue on your waking hours. Perhaps you felt the warmth of a sun that never rose, or the ache of a loss that never happened. If those moments born of sleep can carry such conviction, then what separates them from the now? What immutable marker tells us that this breath, this thought, this very instant, isn't part of some greater illusion? Descartes wrestled with this, stripping away every assumption until he was left with nothing but the bare act of thinking itself. But even that refuge offers little comfort when we linger on the dream argument. For if we cannot trust the senses that paint our world, if we cannot distinguish waking from sleeping, then reality itself becomes a question without an answer. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind drift to the last dream you remember, the way it held you in its grip, the way it felt as true as anything you've ever known. Could you be dreaming now, caught in a story so vast that even this pause, this quiet wondering, is part of its script? There's no need to answer, no rush to decide. Simply let the possibility hover, like a shadow at the edge of your vision, neither threatening nor comforting, but undeniably there. And so we sit with this mystery, not to solve it, but to feel its texture. What if the world we trust, with its endless parade of days and nights, is but a fleeting vision, a momentary flicker in the mind of something, or someone, beyond comprehension? What if every certainty we cling to is just a whisper in the dark, a story we tell ourselves to keep the void at bay? There is a strange beauty in this doubt, a kind of freedom in not knowing. For if reality might be a dream, then perhaps we too are dreamers, shaping worlds with every thought, every breath, until the moment we wake, or perhaps never wake at all. Let this thought linger as the night deepens, as the boundary between what is and what might be grows ever thinner, inviting you to wander into the endless expanse of the unknown. Imagine for a moment a child sitting cross-legged on the floor, wide-eyed and curious, as an elder points to a bright red apple on the table. "This," they say with a gentle certainty, "is red." The child nods, absorbing the word, the color, the truth. But what if that simple declaration, that single act of naming, isn't a revelation of reality, but the first brick in a wall of constructed belief? What if everything we know, every shade, every rule, every boundary, wasn't discovered, but taught, layered upon us like a second skin we never thought to question? Let's linger here, in this quiet space of wonder, where the world as we know it begins to feel less like a solid foundation and more like a story we've all agreed to tell. Think of that child again, learning not just colors, but the shape of right and wrong, the weight of time, the meaning of love. These aren't truths carved into the fabric of the universe. They are ideas, handed down through whispers and lessons, through the steady rhythm of voices that came before. We inherit a map of reality, drawn by countless hands, and we walk its paths without ever asking if the terrain beneath our feet matches the lines on the page. Consider how much of what you hold as real is simply a reflection of what you've been told. The sky is blue because we've named it so, but to someone in another time, another place, it might have been a different hue, a different word, a different truth. Even the laws that govern our lives, the invisible rules of morality, of success, of what it means to be human, are not universal constants, but agreements, fragile and shifting, built by societies long before we arrived, and yet we cling to them, as if they are as immutable as gravity itself. But what if they aren't? What if reality, as we perceive it, is less a discovery and more a creation? A collective dream we've woven together, thread by thread, until it feels as solid as stone. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind wander to a belief you've always held, something so ingrained it feels like part of your very being. Now imagine, just for a breath, that it was never yours to begin with, that it was placed there, like a seed, by the world around you. Does it still feel as true, or does a shadow of doubt begin to creep in, soft as a whisper in the dark? This idea, that reality might be a construct, is not a new one. It echoes through the ages, from philosophers who pondered the nature of knowledge, to poets who saw the world as a canvas painted by perception. In ancient times, the Stoics spoke of living in accordance with nature, but even they understood that our understanding of nature was filtered through the lens of the mind, shaped by what we were taught to see. Fast forward to modern thinkers, and we find sociologists unraveling the threads of culture, showing us how much of what we call real is merely a shared illusion, a social contract we've signed without ever reading the fine print. Picture a bustling marketplace centuries ago, where coins of gold and silver are traded as if they hold inherent worth. But do they? Their value exists only because everyone agrees it does, a silent pact that could crumble if enough voices dared to disagree. Now think of the invisible currencies of our own time: status, beauty, success. Are they any more real? Or are they just newer coins in the same ancient game? We build our lives around these constructs, measuring ourselves against standards that might vanish like mist if we stopped believing in them. And yet, there's a strange comfort in this shared illusion, isn't there? It binds us together, gives us a common language, a way to navigate the chaos of existence. But it also cages us, limiting what we dare to imagine beyond the edges of the map we've been given. What if the child with the apple had been told it was green instead of red? What if they had been taught to see not just color, but something deeper, a shimmer of life, a connection to the earth that most of us have forgotten to notice? What worlds might open if we peeled back the layers of inherited belief and looked with fresh, untaught eyes? This is the quiet mystery at the heart of our reality, that so much of what we accept as true may be no more than a story we've been told, a story we've told ourselves. And in that realization lies both a subtle unease and a profound freedom. For if reality is a construct, then perhaps we too have the power to reshape it, to question the rules, to redraw the map. But where would we begin? And what would we find if we ventured beyond the familiar lines? Let that question linger, like a shadow at the edge of thought, as we sit with the possibility that the world we know is not the world as it is, but the world as we've made it to be. Imagine for a moment that the world you know, the colors you see, the sounds you hear, the very texture of the air on your skin, is not as it seems. What if everything you've ever experienced, every memory, every fleeting emotion, was nothing more than lines of code? A meticulously crafted illusion so seamless that you've never thought to question it. This is not a mere fantasy, but a quiet, lingering possibility that tugs at the edges of your mind, inviting you to peer beyond the surface of reality itself. Consider a person, much like you or me, waking one morning to a strange, unshakable feeling. The sunlight streaming through the window seems too perfect, the hum of the world outside too orchestrated. They go about their day, but something feels off. A conversation repeats in a way it shouldn't. A shadow falls where no object stands to cast it. And then, in a fleeting moment of clarity, a thought pierces through. What if this life, this world, is a simulation? What if every sensation, every choice, is not truly theirs, but part of a program so intricate that even doubt itself is coded into the system? They sit, heart racing, staring at their own hands as if seeing them for the first time, wondering if these fingers, this flesh, are even real or merely pixels in a grand design. This is the essence of a modern parable, one that echoes through our culture in stories like The Matrix, where the boundary between the real and the constructed blurs until it vanishes altogether. It's a tale that asks us to confront a deeply unsettling idea, that we might be living within a creation not of nature, but of intent, an artificial reality so immersive that we've never known the difference. Think of the dreams you've had so vivid that waking felt like a betrayal, a cruel return to a lesser truth. Now imagine that this too is a dream, a construct within a construct, layers upon layers of illusion with no clear path to what lies beyond. Take a moment to reflect on this. Can you recall a time when the world felt just a little too staged, a little too perfect or too strange? Perhaps it was a coincidence that seemed impossible, or a moment when time itself seemed to glitch, skipping like a scratched record. What if those fleeting oddities were not mere quirks, but cracks in the facade, glimpses of a machinery we're not meant to see? Let's linger on this thought, not with fear but with a quiet curiosity. If our reality were a simulation, what would that mean for who we are? Are our joys and sorrows less real if they're scripted? Or do they hold a deeper truth, a meaning woven into the very code of our being? Consider a video game character, unaware of the player guiding their every move, yet feeling triumph and loss as deeply as we do. Are their emotions any less valid for being designed? Or does the act of feeling, of experiencing, transcend the question of origin altogether? This unease doesn't demand an answer, nor does it seek to unravel the fabric of your day-to-day life. Instead, it invites a gentle questioning, a soft prodding at the edges of what we take for granted. Imagine standing in a vast digital landscape, the horizon shimmering with pixels if you look too closely. You reach out, not to break the illusion, but to understand it, to marvel at the complexity of a world that might be both false and beautiful in equal measure. What if the simulation, if it exists, is not a prison, but a canvas, painted with the brushstrokes of an unseen artist whose purpose we may never grasp? And so, we sit with this possibility, not in agitation, but in stillness. We watch the world unfold, birds tracing patterns in the sky, voices weaving through the air, the steady rhythm of our own breath, and we wonder, is this real? Does it need to be? Or is the act of wondering itself the truest thing we can hold on to, in a reality that might be nothing more than a whisper of code, a dream within a machine? Let this thought settle over you like a soft shadow, not to disturb, but to deepen the mystery of the life you live, moment by moment, in a world that may be far more than it seems. Imagine, for a moment, a world where the very fabric of existence seems to quiver under scrutiny, where the rules we thought were ironclad bend in ways that defy comprehension. What if reality itself were not a fixed stage, but a shadowy dance, shifting with the slightest glance? Let us step into the strange and enigmatic realm of quantum physics, a place where the ordinary dissolves into the impossible, and the act of observation might be the key to creation itself. Picture a quiet laboratory, late at night, where a solitary scientist peers through the lens of curiosity into the unseen. They set up an experiment, something deceptively simple called the double-slit test. A stream of particles, tiny fragments of matter smaller than a whisper, is fired toward a barrier with two narrow slits. Beyond the barrier, a screen waits to capture the pattern of their arrival. When no one watches, when the particles are left to their own mysterious journey, they behave like waves, spreading out in a ripple of probabilities, painting a pattern of interference on the screen, as if they've passed through both slits at once, defying the very notion of a singular path. But the moment an instrument is placed to observe, to catch which slit they choose, the particles transform. They become obedient, acting like bullets, choosing one slit or the other, forming two neat lines on the screen. It's as if reality itself is shy, altering its behavior the moment it knows it's being seen. What does this mean for the world we walk through each day? If particles, the building blocks of everything we touch and see, can change their nature based on whether they are watched, then is reality truly independent of us? Does the act of looking, of perceiving, weave the very threads of existence into being? Ponder this for a moment. Could the mountains, the rivers, the stars above only hold their form because we gaze upon them? Or is it deeper still? Does the world create us, only to be recreated by our attention in an endless silent dance? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind wander to the edge of this mystery, where the boundary between observer and observed blurs into shadow. Consider the implications of a universe so intimately tied to consciousness. If observation shapes reality at its most fundamental level, then what are we truly? Are we mere witnesses to a cosmic play? Or are we the playwrights, scripting the scenes with every thought, every fleeting glance? There's a quiet unease. In this thought, a whisper of power and responsibility we might not be ready to bear. Imagine walking through a forest, hearing the rustle of leaves, feeling the cool air on your skin. Is that moment real only because you've turned your mind to it? If you looked away, if no one were there to notice, would the forest cease to hum with life, dissolving into a haze of unformed possibility? This strange truth from the quantum world echoes something ancient, something philosophers have wrestled with for centuries. The idea that reality might not be a stone foundation beneath our feet, but a fragile illusion sustained by the act of seeing. It's as if the universe is a question, waiting for us to ask it, to give it shape through our curiosity. And yet, there's a mystery here that refuses to unravel. If observation creates, then what created the observer? Were we always here, eternal witnesses to an eternal game? Or did something beyond comprehension set this dance in motion, only to step back and watch us wonder? Let this thought linger as you drift deeper into contemplation. There's no need for answers tonight, no rush to pin down the unknowable. Instead, feel the weight of this enigma, the quiet thrill of standing at the edge of understanding, where reality itself seems to shimmer, uncertain of its own nature. What if, in the end, we are both the creators and the created, bound together in a riddle whispered by the stars? Let that possibility settle over you like a soft, unhurried shadow, inviting you to dream of a world where nothing is quite as it seems. Imagine for a moment a forest so silent that the air itself seems to hold its breath. The towering trees stretch endlessly into a canopy of shadow, their branches weaving a ceiling that filters only slivers of pale light. In this forgotten corner of the world, a single tree begins to tremble, its ancient trunk giving way to the weight of time. It falls with a slow, inevitable grace, crashing through the undergrowth. But there is no one there to hear it, no ear to catch the thunder of its collapse, no mind to register the event. Does the sound of its fall exist at all, or does it vanish into the void of an unwitnessed moment? This is the enigma we step into now, the strange and haunting idea that reality might depend on the act of being seen, of being known. Let us linger in this quiet forest a little longer, where the unseen reigns supreme. The notion that a falling tree makes no sound unless observed is not merely a riddle to amuse the mind. It pierces the very fabric of what we believe to be true. It whispers of a world that might only come alive under the gaze of consciousness, as if existence itself is a performance waiting for an audience. Think of the countless events unfolding beyond our perception. Waves crashing on distant shores, stars igniting in far-off galaxies, a leaf drifting unseen to the ground. Are they real in the way we are real, or do they hover in some liminal state, incomplete without a witness to affirm their being? This idea, often called the observer effect, stretches beyond the quaint imagery of a forest. It finds echoes in the strange and elusive realm of science, where the smallest particles of the universe seem to shift their behavior when watched, as if they shy away from scrutiny or awaken only under attention. But let us broaden this lens, turning it inward to the vast expanse of our own lives. Consider the moments you've lived through that no one else has seen. The quiet triumphs, the unspoken sorrows, the fleeting thoughts that dance through your mind in the still hours of night. Do these moments hold the same weight as those shared with others, or are they somehow less real for having no observer to validate them? Take a moment to reflect on this, to feel the weight of your unseen self, and to wonder if it, too, needs a witness to fully exist. Perhaps the act of perceiving is not just a passive receiving of the world, but an active creation of it. Imagine consciousness as a loom, threading together the raw chaos of existence into a tapestry we call reality. Without the weaver, the threads remain scattered, unformed, a potential that never quite becomes. This thought carries a certain mystery, a quiet unease. If reality hinges on observation, then what happens when no one is watching? Does the world pause, holding its breath like that silent forest, waiting for a mind to stir it back to life? Or does it unravel entirely, dissolving into a nothingness we cannot fathom? Let us wander deeper into this idea, stepping beyond the physical and into the realm of the personal. Think of a memory so vivid it feels like it happened yesterday. A conversation, a touch, a fleeting glance, but one that no one else recalls. In your mind, it burns bright, a cornerstone of your past. Yet, without another to confirm it, to observe it alongside you, does it begin to fade at the edges, its reality softening into doubt? Here, the observer effect takes on a tender, almost fragile quality. It suggests that our lives, our very sense of self, might be stitched together not just by what we experience, but by who shares in that experience, who sees us and, in seeing, makes us real. And so we circle back to that fallen tree, lying still in the heart of an empty forest. Its silence challenges us to reconsider the boundaries of existence, to question whether the world is a fixed and solid thing, or a delicate interplay of perception and presence. What if reality is not a gift bestowed upon us, but a creation we partake in, moment by moment, through the simple act of noticing? What if, in the end, to see and be seen is the quiet magic that holds it all together? Let this thought settle over you like a gentle mist, obscuring the edges of certainty, inviting you to dwell in the mystery of a world that might only truly exist because you are here to witness it. Imagine for a moment that you are utterly alone, not just in a quiet room or an empty street, but in a way so profound that the very fabric of the world around you, every face, every voice, every fleeting moment, might be nothing more than a whisper of your own mind? What if the laughter of a friend, the warmth of a touch, the endless sprawl of cities and skies were all merely figments, illusions woven by your solitary consciousness? This is the haunting realm of solipsism, a philosophy that dares to suggest that only your mind, and yours alone, can be certain to exist. Picture yourself waking in the stillness of dawn, the world outside your window draped in a pale, uncertain light. You reach out, touch the cool glass, and for a fleeting second, doubt creeps in. Is this glass real, or is it a thought, a projection of something within you, the people you love, the strangers you pass, their smiles and sorrows? Could they be echoes of your own imagination, characters in a story only you are writing? Solipsism pulls you into this lonely truth, a quiet abyss where the boundaries of self and other dissolve, leaving you as the sole architect of all that is. It's a thought that chills, not with fear, but with an aching isolation, as if you are the only star in an endless void, shining for no one but yourself. Consider the weight of this idea, how it reshapes everything you've ever known. If the world is but a dream of your making, then every joy and every pain becomes a reflection of your inner landscape. The wars fought, the songs sung, the mountains that rise in distant lands, are they real, or are they merely the canvas of your mind, painted in strokes of longing and fear? There's a strange beauty in this, a power that feels both godlike and tragic. You are the creator, but also the prisoner, trapped in a reality that might have no edges beyond the limits of your own thought. Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine standing in a crowded room, surrounded by voices and movement, and yet feeling, deep within, that none of it might truly be there. What does it mean to connect, to love, to struggle, if all of it could be an illusion spun from the threads of your consciousness? Does it diminish the weight of your experiences, or does it make them more precious, knowing they are yours alone to hold? This notion of solipsism stretches back through the corridors of philosophy, a quiet undercurrent in the musings of thinkers who grappled with the nature of existence. It whispers in the skepticism of Descartes, who sought certainty in the phrase, "I think, therefore I am," yet even he could not fully escape the shadow of doubt about the world beyond his mind. It lingers in the introspections of Berkeley, who pondered if reality exists only in perception, a dream sustained by the gaze of a divine observer, or perhaps by you alone. To embrace solipsism is to stand at the edge of a vast, uncharted sea, where the horizon might not exist at all, where every wave and every shore is born from the depths of your own being. And yet, there is a paradox here, a quiet tension that tugs at the heart. If you are the only mind, the sole dreamer, why does the world feel so stubborn, so beyond your control? Why do storms rage when you wish for calm? Why do others defy your will with their own seeming agency? Is this, too, a trick of your imagination, a way to keep the illusion alive, to convince yourself that you are not alone? Or does this resistance hint at something beyond, a reality that refuses to bend entirely to your thought? Let this question settle over you like a soft, lingering mist. There are no answers here, only the echo of a possibility, a lens through which the world appears both more intimate and more distant than ever before. To entertain solipsism is to walk a path of profound solitude, to see yourself as the center of all things, yet to wonder if that center holds any meaning at all. It is a quiet unraveling, a gentle descent into the mystery of being, where the only certainty is the rhythm of your own thoughts, pulsing like a heartbeat in the silence of an imagined world. Imagine for a moment a solitary figure seated by the edge of a winding river, the water's surface catching the faint glow of a rising dawn. The air is still, heavy with the scent of earth and dew, and the world seems to hold its breath. This figure, a monk draped in simple robes, sits in perfect silence, eyes half closed, as if gazing not at the river before him, but at something far beyond it, something unseen, yet profoundly felt. In this quiet, there is a whisper of an ancient truth, a concept as old as the mountains that cradle this river. The idea of Maya, the veil of illusion that cloaks the material world in Hinduism and Buddhism. What if everything we touch, everything we see, is but a fleeting dream, a mirage woven by our own desires and perceptions? What if the river, the dawn, even the breath in our lungs, is not the ultimate reality, but a shadow cast by something far greater? Let us linger here by this river and consider the teachings that have echoed through centuries. Maya, in its essence, is not merely a trick or a deception, but a profound reminder of impermanence. It suggests that the world we cling to, the objects we possess, the identities we craft, the fears and joys that shape our days, is but a temporary play of forms, a dance of light and shadow that distracts us from a deeper truth. For the monk by the river, this understanding is not a source of despair, but of liberation. Through meditation, through the quieting of the restless mind, he seeks to pierce this veil, to glimpse the boundless reality that lies beneath. Imagine his thoughts as he watches the water flow, each ripple a fleeting moment, each wave a reminder that nothing lasts. That attachment to the physical binds us to suffering. What would it mean to let go, to see the river not as a thing to be grasped, but as a passing vision, a reflection of something eternal? This perspective, born in the ancient traditions of the East, challenges us to reconsider our own relationship with the world. We live immersed in the material, our days filled with the weight of possessions, ambitions, and the endless pursuit of permanence in a reality that is anything but. Yet what if we paused, just for a moment, to question this solidity? Think of the last time you held something dear, a cherished object, a memory, a dream, and felt the ache of knowing it could slip away. Buddhism teaches that this ache, this clinging, is the root of our suffering, and that freedom lies in releasing our grip, in seeing through Maya's illusion to the impermanence at the heart of all things. It is not a call to reject the world, but to engage with it differently, to walk through life with open hands, accepting that every form, every moment is fleeting. Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine yourself sitting by that same river, the cool morning air brushing against your skin. What do you cling to in your own life? What illusions do you wrap around yourself, believing them to be the whole of reality? Could there be a truth, beyond the tangible, beyond the rush of daily existence, waiting for you to notice it in the quiet spaces between thoughts? As we sit with this idea, let us consider the monk once more. His stillness is not an escape from the world, but a deeper engagement with it. In his meditation, he seeks not to deny the river's beauty, but to understand its true nature, a manifestation of something vast, something formless. In Hindu philosophy, this underlying reality is often called Brahman, the infinite essence that transcends all illusion. In Buddhism, it is the state of nirvana, the cessation of desire and the realization of emptiness. Both paths point to a reality beyond Maya, a state of being unshaken by the shifting tides of the material world. What might it feel like to touch such a truth, even for a fleeting moment? To see the veil lift, if only briefly, and know that what lies beyond is not chaos or nothingness, but a profound unity, a peace that defies description. This ancient wisdom does not demand belief, nor does it offer easy answers. Instead, it invites a quiet turning inward, a gentle questioning of the world we take for granted. The river continues to flow, the dawn continues to break, and yet, in this moment of contemplation, there is a sense that something deeper stirs, a reality not bound by form or time, a truth that hums beneath the illusion like a forgotten melody. Perhaps like the monk, we can sit with this mystery, not seeking to unravel it, but simply to be with it, to let it wash over us like the river's endless current. What might we discover in such stillness? What might we come to see if we dare to look beyond the veil? Have you ever noticed how a single moment can stretch into forever, while entire days slip through your fingers like sand? There's something elusive about time, something that feels less like a constant and more like a fleeting illusion. It's as if we're caught in a dance with an invisible partner, moving to a rhythm we can neither see nor control. Let's linger here for a while, in the quiet uncertainty of time's nature, and ask ourselves, is time truly the river we imagine it to be? Or is it something we've conjured in our minds to make sense of a world too vast to grasp? Picture a memory from your past, a fleeting glance shared with someone across a crowded room. In that instant, the world seemed to pause, the noise fading into a distant hum, the air growing heavy with unspoken meaning. That second felt like an eternity, as if the universe itself had conspired to hold you there, suspended in a space beyond the ordinary. And yet, when you think back to the hours that followed, or the days that blurred into one another, they seem to vanish into a haze, as if they never truly happened. Why does time bend like this, folding in on itself in moments of intensity, only to race forward when we're not looking? Could it be that time isn't a straight line, not a steady march, but a creation of our own perception, a story we tell ourselves to anchor our fleeting existence? Consider the ticking of a clock, that relentless sound that measures out our days. It's a sound we've come to trust, a marker of reality itself. But what if that tick is nothing more than a suggestion, a rhythm we've agreed to follow? In the stillness of a sleepless night, when the world is quiet and the clock seems to slow, doesn't time feel less like a law and more like a feeling? Some cultures, ancient and wise, saw time not as linear, but as cyclical, a wheel turning endlessly through seasons and stories. For them, the past wasn't behind, and the future wasn't ahead. It was all part of the same eternal round. What if they were closer to the truth? What if time, as we know it, is just a construct, a way to order the chaos of being, rather than a fundamental truth of the universe? Take a moment to reflect on this. When was the last time you felt time slip away from you, or stretch beyond its bounds? Can you recall a moment so vivid it seemed to carve itself into eternity, or a day so mundane it dissolved into nothing? Sit with that memory and wonder if time is truly out there, governing the world, or if it's something we carry within us, a fragile thread we weave to hold our lives together. Now, let's wander a little deeper into this mystery. Imagine a brush with danger, a near miss perhaps, when the world seemed to slow to a crawl. Every detail sharpened, every heartbeat echoed like thunder, and in that suspended breath, time became something almost tangible, something you could feel pressing against your skin. Scientists might explain this as a trick of the mind, adrenaline, flooding your system, heightening your senses. But doesn't it hint at something more? If our perception can alter time so dramatically, bending it to our will or our fear, then is time truly independent of us? Or is it perhaps a mirror of our inner state, a reflection of how we choose to see the world? There's a haunting thought buried here, one that lingers like the faint echo of a forgotten dream. If time is so malleable, so tied to our thoughts and feelings, then what happens when we step outside of it? In the deepest meditations, in those rare moments of pure presence, time seems to dissolve entirely. The past and future fall away, leaving only the now, vast and endless. Mystics and philosophers have long spoken of this timeless state, a place where the illusion of time unravels, revealing something truer beneath. Could it be that time is merely a veil, a convenient fiction we drape over reality to make it bearable? And if so, what lies beyond that veil? Is there a stillness, a boundless expanse where all moments exist at once? Or is there simply nothing? Let this question hover in the air for a while, like the soft tolling of a distant bell. We've grown so accustomed to measuring our lives in seconds, hours, years, marking beginnings and endings as if they're etched in stone. But what if those markers are just lines we've drawn in the sand, easily washed away by the tide of a deeper truth? Perhaps time flows only because we believe it does, because we've built our world around its rhythm, and perhaps, in the quiet, Spaces between one breath and the next, we can glimpse a reality untouched by time's illusion, a reality where everything simply is. As we drift through this thought, let the weight of it settle gently. There's no need to rush for answers, no need to pin down the nature of something so elusive. Instead, let's rest in the mystery, in the strange and beautiful uncertainty of time. For in questioning its reality, we begin to see ourselves anew, not as beings bound by its current, but as wanderers on a shore where the waves of time may not reach at all. Have you ever gazed into the night sky, feeling the weight of its endless expanse, and wondered if there could be more than one version of this very moment? What if, beyond the stars, beyond the fragile shell of our perception, there exist countless other worlds, each a mirror of our own, yet subtly, hauntingly different? Let this thought settle into your mind like a whisper carried on a quiet breeze as we step into the realm of the multiverse, a concept so vast it stretches the boundaries of imagination itself. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a still lake, the surface reflecting your face with perfect clarity. But as you peer closer, you notice something strange. Small ripples forming, not from a stone or a breath of wind, but from within the reflection itself. And in that mirrored image, your eyes seem to hold a different story. Perhaps in this other world, you chose a different path on a fateful day, spoke words you held back, or turned left instead of right. What if, with every choice, every fleeting decision, a new reality is born? A splinter of existence where another version of you lives out the roads not taken. The idea is dizzying, like staring into an infinite hall of mirrors, each pane showing a life both familiar and alien. This is the heart of the multiverse hypothesis, a notion born from the strange and beautiful edges of modern physics. It suggests that our universe might not be a solitary entity, but one among an uncountable array, each governed by its own laws, its own history, its own version of what we call truth. Some of these worlds might be nearly identical to ours, differing only in the smallest detail, a single word spoken or unspoken. Others could be realms of pure strangeness, where the very fabric of reality bends in ways we cannot fathom. Imagine a universe where time flows backward, where gravity repels rather than attracts, or where life as we know it never took root. These are not mere fantasies, but possibilities whispered by equations and theories that dance at the frontier of human understanding. But let us linger on a quieter, more personal thread of this idea. Think of a moment in your life, a choice that changed everything. Perhaps it was a chance meeting, a decision to stay or to leave, a leap of courage or a retreat into safety. Now, imagine that somewhere, in a parallel fold of existence, you made the opposite choice. What does their life look like? Are they happier, burdened by different regrets, or caught in struggles you narrowly escaped? Does their heart ache for the path you chose, just as you sometimes wonder about the roads not traveled? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let the weight of infinite possibilities rest gently in your thoughts. The multiverse doesn't merely challenge our sense of reality. It fractures it into a kaleidoscope of what-ifs. It asks us to consider whether our lives are truly singular, or if we are but one note in a symphony of endless variations. Some scientists speculate that these parallel worlds might be hidden in dimensions we cannot perceive, folded into the fabric of space-time like pages in an ancient unread book. Others ponder if every quantum event, every roll of the cosmic dice, spawns a new reality where the outcome diverges. If this is true, then every moment of uncertainty, every hesitation, becomes a birthplace for worlds unseen. Yet, there is a haunting beauty in this vastness. To think of a multiverse is to imagine that no choice is ever truly lost, that every possibility finds a home somewhere beyond our reach. It softens the sting of regret, doesn't it? The idea that somewhere, another you is living the life you dreamed of, laughing in moments you let slip away. But it also raises a quiet unease. If infinite versions of ourselves exist, then who are we, truly, Are we the sum of our choices, or merely one fragment of an incomprehensible whole? Does our pain, our joy, our very existence hold meaning? Or is it diluted across a sea of endless echoes? Let this mystery linger as you breathe in the stillness of this moment. Perhaps the multiverse is not just a theory of physics, but a mirror to our deepest longings, the desire to know that nothing is ever truly gone, that every version of who we could be finds a place to belong. Or perhaps it is a reminder of how small we are, how little we grasp of the infinite tapestry that surrounds us. Whether these other worlds exist or not, the very thought of them invites us to see our own reality with fresh eyes, to wonder at the fragility and wonder of the life we hold in our hands right now. So, as the night deepens and the world grows quiet, let your mind drift to those unseen horizons. Imagine the countless others who share your name, your face, yet live beneath unfamiliar skies. What stories do they tell? What dreams do they chase in worlds just beyond the veil? Let the vastness of this idea cradle you, not with answers, but with the gentle weight of questions that need no resolution, only the space to be pondered in the stillness. Imagine for a moment a world where the very words you speak, the labels you assign, carve the boundaries of what you can see and feel. What if the language you've inherited, the tapestry of sounds and meanings woven by those who came before you, is not just a tool to describe reality, but the very lens through which reality comes into being? Let this thought settle over you like a quiet mist, subtle yet profound, as we wander into the mysterious interplay between language and the world we call real. Consider a story from a distant land, where two cultures live side by side, yet see the world through entirely different shades. One culture has no word for the color blue. Their eyes, just like ours, can perceive the vastness of the sky or the depth of the ocean, but without a name to anchor it. Does that hue truly exist in their minds? Their language lacks the boundary, the definition, and so their world is painted in broader strokes, greens and greys where we might see a sapphire shimmer. Meanwhile, another culture has a dozen words for snow, each capturing a unique texture, a fleeting quality of cold. Their reality is intricate, layered with distinctions we might never notice, simply because our words don't reach that far. And so, a question emerges from the stillness. Does reality shape our language, or does language shape the reality we are allowed to know? Think of the emotions we carry, those raw, unspoken currents beneath the surface of our days. Some languages have words for feelings we might struggle to describe. A quiet longing for something lost, a bittersweet ache for a place we've never been. In the absence of such words, do we still feel those emotions? Or do they remain just out of reach, like shadows we can sense but never grasp? Perhaps our inner worlds are vast, infinite landscapes, but language acts as the map, deciding which paths we can tread and which remain hidden in the fog. Take a moment to reflect on this. What feelings, what colors, what truths might exist in your life, unnamed and therefore unseen? Let's drift deeper into this enigma, tracing the threads of how language builds the walls of our reality. When we name something, we give it form, we pull it from the ether into the tangible. A child learns the word love, and suddenly, a nebulous warmth gains edges, a shape to hold on to. But what of the experiences that defy naming, the ineffable moments? The way the light falls through a window at dusk, stirring something ancient in your soul. Do they exist less fully because no word can contain them? Or is there a reality beyond language, a silent undercurrent flowing beneath our spoken world, waiting for us to listen in a different way? Now, imagine a world without language altogether, a realm of pure sensation, unfiltered by the need to define. Would reality be more vivid, more true? Or would it dissolve into chaos, a sea of impressions with no shore to ground us? Philosophers have long pondered whether thought itself depends on words, whether without them we could even conceive of a self, of a world outside our skin. If language is the scaffold of our reality, what happens when a word is lost? when a culture's tongue fades into silence? Does a piece of the world vanish with it? Or does it linger, unseen, in the spaces between what can be said? Let this mystery unfold in your mind like a slow, endless river. Consider the words you use every day, the ones you lean on to make sense of your existence. Are they windows to a greater truth, or are they bars on a cage, limiting what you can imagine? Perhaps reality is not a fixed thing, not a stone carved by time, but a story we tell ourselves, woven from the threads of language we've been given. And if that is so, what new realities might we create if we dare to speak differently, to name the unnamed, to stretch the boundaries of what we believe can be? As you rest in this thought, let the quiet weight of it linger. The world you see, the world you feel, it may be vast beyond comprehension, yet shaped by something as fragile as a word. And in that fragility lies a strange, beautiful power, the chance to reshape reality itself, one whispered name at a time. Take a moment to reflect on this. What words have defined your world, and what might lie beyond them, waiting to be spoken into being? Imagine for a moment that you're sitting across from someone you've known for years, perhaps a friend, a lover, or a family member. The light catches their face just so, and as your eyes meet, a strange, fleeting thought flickers through your mind. Do they truly feel as I do? Is there a world within them as vast and vivid as the one I carry inside me? Or are they merely a reflection, a shadow cast by my own consciousness? It's a quiet, unsettling question, one that lingers in the stillness, drawing you into a deeper mystery about the nature of others and the boundaries of your own reality. This is the problem of other minds, a philosophical riddle that has haunted thinkers for centuries. It begins with a simple observation. I know I exist, for I feel my thoughts, my pains, my joys in a way that is immediate and undeniable. But when I look at you, when I see your smile or hear your words, I can only infer what lies behind them. I assume you think and feel as I do, that your inner life is as rich and complex as mine, but I can never truly step into your mind to confirm it. There is an invisible wall between us, a chasm of uncertainty that no amount of conversation or connection can fully bridge. And so I am left to wonder, are you truly conscious, or are you a mirage, a projection of my own lonely imagination? Consider a moment from your past, a memory of looking into someone's eyes during a shared silence. Perhaps it was a moment of understanding, where you felt certain you knew what they were thinking, as if your souls had touched. But even then, doubt could creep in. What if that connection was an illusion, a story I told myself to ease the isolation of being trapped within my own perception? The philosopher Thomas Nagel once pondered a similar question when he asked what it is like to be a bat, an entirely different kind of consciousness, so alien that we cannot even imagine its texture. If I cannot know the mind of a bat, how can I be certain of the mind of the person sitting across from me, whose expressions and words I interpret through the lens of my own experience? This uncertainty weaves its way into the fabric of every relationship, every interaction. We build our lives on the assumption that others are real, that their laughter and tears carry the same weight as our own. We trust that when someone says they love us, there is a genuine emotion behind the words, not just an empty echo. Yet beneath this trust lies a quiet shadow of doubt. What if all the people around me are automatons, sophisticated shells mimicking human behavior, lacking the spark of true awareness? What if I am the only one who truly feels, the sole inhabitant of a world populated by illusions? Take a moment to reflect on this. Imagine yourself in a crowded room, surrounded by voices and faces, each one seeming so alive, so real. Now let that thought slip in, just for a breath. What if none of them are truly there? What if their smiles, their words, their very existence are creations of your mind, a dream you've woven to keep the void at bay? Feel the weight of that solitude, the eerie stillness that comes with it, before letting the thought drift away. This Problem of Other Minds is not just a philosophical puzzle. It touches something deeply human, something tied to our longing for connection. We reach out to others not just for companionship, but to affirm that we are not alone, that our reality is shared. Yet, no matter how close we get, there remains a part of the other that is unknowable, a locked room within their being that we can never enter. Perhaps this is why love, friendship, and even casual conversation carry such profound weight. Each is an act of faith, a leap across that chasm of doubt, a belief that the other is as real as we are, even if we can never prove it. History offers us no clear answers, but it does show us how this question has echoed through time. In the 17th century, René Descartes grappled with the certainty of his own existence. I think, therefore I am. But even he struggled to extend that certainty to others. He proposed that we infer the minds of others through their behavior, much as we infer the workings of a clock from its ticking. But a clock has no soul, no inner life. What if the people around us are merely clocks of flesh and bone, ticking through the motions of life without ever truly feeling it? And so, the mystery persists, curling like mist around the edges of our understanding. We live our days surrounded by others, building bonds, sharing stories, resting in the comfort of their presence. Yet, in the quiet hours, when the world grows still, that question can return, soft as a whisper. Are they real, or am I alone in this vast, silent theater of the mind? It's a thought that doesn't demand an answer, but rather invites us to sit with the unknown, to feel the weight of our own consciousness, and the enigmatic presence of those we can never fully know. As the night deepens, let this mystery settle around you, not as a burden, but as a quiet companion, reminding you of the strange, beautiful uncertainty that lies at the heart of being human. Have you ever felt a pain so sharp, so consuming, that the world around you seemed to dissolve, as if reality itself couldn't hold under the weight of your grief? Imagine a moment of loss, someone dear slipping away, the air growing heavy with absence, the silence louder than any sound. In that shattering instant, the familiar contours of life blur, and a quiet, haunting question emerges from the ache. Is this suffering real, or is it part of some greater illusion, a fleeting shadow cast upon the stage of existence? Let's linger here, in the tender space where pain and reality intertwine. Picture a cold, grey morning, the kind where the sky seems to mourn with you. You sit by a window, tracing the outline of a memory, a laugh, a touch, a promise unkept. The weight of what's gone presses against your chest, and yet there's a strangeness to it, a surreal quality, as if this hurt belongs to someone else, as if you've stepped outside yourself and are watching a story unfold. Does this agony truly belong to the fabric of the world, or is it a mirage, a trick of the mind that feels solid only because we believe in its power? Suffering, after all, is not just a sensation. It's a narrative we weave, a lens through which we see everything. But what if the lens itself is flawed? What if the pain we carry is no more real than a dream that fades upon waking? Consider the ancient teachings of those who sought to pierce the veil of human experience. In the traditions of Buddhism, suffering, dukkha, is named as the first noble truth, the unavoidable mark of existence. Yet, they also whisper of liberation, of seeing through the illusion of a separate self, of understanding that pain, like all things, is impermanent, a passing cloud across the sky of awareness. Imagine a monk, centuries ago, sitting beneath a banyan tree, eyes closed, breath steady, feeling the sharp sting of loss but refusing to grasp it. He lets it flow through him, observing it as one might observe a river, real in its movement, yet not the entirety of who he is. Could it be that suffering, for all its vividness, is part of what the ancients called Maya, the grand illusion of the material world? Could our deepest wounds be threads in a tapestry that isn't as solid as we think? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind drift to a time when pain felt like the only truth you knew. Did it anchor you to the world, making every detail sharper, the texture of a tear, the ache in your bones? Or did it push you to the edge of reality, where nothing seemed certain, where even your own existence felt like a question mark, suspended in the void? Now let's wander deeper. What if suffering is the very thing that tethers us to what we call real? In moments of joy, the world can feel light, almost dreamlike, as if we might float away. But pain has a gravity to it. It pulls us down, roots us in the here and now, forces us to confront the rawness of being. A scraped knee as a child, a heartbreak as an adult. Each sting reminds us that we are alive, that we feel, that we are part of something tangible. Yet, isn't it curious how the intensity of suffering can also make us doubt? When the hurt becomes too vast, too incomprehensible, we sometimes step back, as if to ask, how can this be real? How can a world that allows such sorrow be anything but a cruel fiction, a construct meant to test or torment us? There's a quiet mystery in this paradox. Suffering seems to both affirm and undermine reality. It is the loudest voice declaring that the world exists, that consequences matter, that our actions and losses ripple through time. And yet, in its most profound depths, it whispers of something beyond, something ungraspable, something that defies the rules of the reality we've accepted. Perhaps the tears we shed are not just for what we've lost, but for the unspoken realization that even this pain might not be the ultimate truth. Perhaps they are a silent plea to understand what lies on the other side of the illusion, if there is such a thing at all. Let's sit with this thought for a while. Imagine the weight of your own burdens, the ones that have shaped you, scarred you, taught you. Do they feel like chains binding you to a concrete world? Or do they feel like echoes of something you might one day transcend? Could it be that suffering, for all its harshness, is a teacher, not of reality's solidity, but of its fragility, its fleeting nature? As you breathe in this moment, let the question hang softly in the air, like the last note of a song fading into stillness. Is this pain the anchor, or is it the very illusion we must learn to release? Imagine, for just a fleeting moment, that the world around you isn't as it seems. A subtle glitch, a fracture in the seamless fabric of your day. Perhaps a shadow moves in a way it shouldn't, or a sound echoes with an impossible delay. It's a whisper of something off, something that doesn't belong. And in that heartbeat of confusion, a question creeps in. What if all of this, every breath, every thought, is nothing more than lines of code, a carefully crafted illusion running on a cosmic machine far beyond our comprehension? Let's linger here, in this unsettling yet strangely captivating thought, as we explore the idea that we might be characters in a simulated world, pieces of a grand design where even our deepest sense of self could be scripted. Picture yourself walking through a familiar street at dusk, the amber light casting long shadows, the murmur of distant voices blending with the rustle of leaves. Everything feels so tangible, so real. But then, there's that moment, a flicker, in the corner of your eye, a sensation that the world skipped, just for a fraction of a second. It's as if the program running this reality stuttered, revealing a hidden layer beneath the surface. You pause, your heart quickening, not with fear, but with a quiet, gnawing curiosity. What if this street, this light, these voices are all part of a simulation, a digital dream we're too immersed in to recognize? This isn't a new idea, though it feels freshly haunting each time it surfaces. Throughout history, we've wondered if our reality is a shadow of something greater, a play enacted on a stage we cannot see. But now, in an age where we've built virtual worlds of our own, games and simulations so vivid they rival memory, the question takes on a sharper edge. If we can create artificial realities, what's to say we aren't living in one ourselves? Think of the countless lines of code that govern a video game character's every move. their every decision mapped out by an unseen hand. They believe, they choose, they feel the weight of their actions, yet their freedom is an illusion, a gift granted by a programmer's design. Could we, too, be bound by such invisible rules? Our free will nothing more than a comforting lie woven into the script of our existence? Consider the implications, not with panic, but with a slow, deliberate wonder. If this world is a simulation, who or what created it? Is there a purpose to our coded lives? A goal we're meant to achieve without ever knowing the rules of the game? Or are we merely echoes of data, fragments of a larger experiment playing out in a realm we cannot fathom? There's a strange beauty in this uncertainty, a poetic fragility to the idea that our joys, our sorrows, our quiet moments of reflection might all be part of a design we'll never understand. Yet, there's also a shadow of unease. If our choices aren't truly ours, if every step is preordained, what does it mean to be human? Are we merely players in a cosmic game? Or are we something more, something that transcends the code? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your mind drift to a memory, a decision you made that felt so profoundly yours. Could it have been written for you, a path chosen by an unseen force? Or does the very act of questioning, of feeling the weight of that choice, prove that you are more than a program, more than a string of ones and zeros? As we sit with this thought, let's not rush to answers. Instead, imagine looking into a mirror, searching your own eyes for a sign, a hint of the truth. You see the familiar lines of your face, the flicker of emotion that dances there. But what if behind that reflection lies not flesh and bone, but a digital construct, a perfect imitation of life? The simulation hypothesis doesn't demand belief. It simply asks us to entertain the possibility, to hold space for the unknown. It invites us to look at the world with a quiet suspicion, not to unravel it, but to marvel at its complexity. What if every sunrise, every whispered conversation, every fleeting dream is part of a masterpiece we're too close to see in full? There's no resolution here, no final word to lay this mystery to rest. Instead, let the question linger like a soft fog wrapping around your thoughts as you move through your day. If we are code, if we are scripted, does it diminish the beauty of a moment shared, the warmth of a touch, the ache of a longing heart? Or does it make these things even more precious, knowing they might be the product of an unimaginable artistry? Let this wonder settle into your bones, a quiet companion as you ponder the nature of the world and your place within it. Have you ever gazed at a painting or lost yourself in the flickering frames of a film, only to feel a shiver of something deeper, something truer than the world around you? There's a quiet magic in those moments, a fleeting sense where the boundary between what is real and what is crafted seems to dissolve, leaving you suspended in a space where truth wears a mask. Art, in its many forms, has a peculiar way of challenging our grasp on reality, of holding up a mirror that reflects not just what we see, but what we dare to feel. It whispers a question we rarely voice. Does the world we inhabit hold the deepest truth, or is there something more, hidden within the strokes of a brush or the arc of a story? Consider for a moment a painting that stopped time for you. Perhaps it was a landscape, vast and windswept, where the sky bled into the earth with colors too vivid to belong to any dawn you've known. Or maybe it was a portrait, eyes so piercing, they seemed to see into your very soul, as if the figure on the canvas knew your secrets before you did. In that instant, didn't the painted world feel more alive than the room you stood in? Didn't the heartbeat of that creation pulse stronger than the mundane rhythm of your day? It's as if the artist reached beyond the veil of the ordinary, crafting a reality that speaks in a language older than words, a language of emotion and essence that bypasses the mind and grips the spirit. And then there are stories, films, or novels that weave themselves into the fabric of your being. Think of a scene so hauntingly familiar, a moment of longing or loss so perfectly captured that it felt as though the story was not just told, but lived by you. I recall a film where the protagonist stood at the edge of a crumbling cliff, staring into an abyss that mirrored their own despair. The wind howled on screen, and though I sat in stillness, I swear I felt its chill against my skin. Was that moment real, or was it a trick of the mind, a willing surrender to the illusion? And if it stirred something so profound within me, does its reality matter less than the chair I sat upon or the walls that surrounded me? This is the enigma of art. It blurs the line we so carefully draw between the tangible and the imagined. It invites us to step into a space where the rules of reality bend, where a painted tear can weigh heavier than our own, where a fictional farewell can ache more than a memory. Philosophers have long pondered whether reality is merely what we perceive, a construct built by our senses and beliefs. If that is so, then isn't art a kind of rebellion, a defiance of that construct? Doesn't it offer us a glimpse of a deeper truth, one that exists not in the physical, but in the resonance of the human experience? Or perhaps it is just another layer of illusion, a beautiful lie we embrace because it feels more honest than the chaos of life. Take a moment to reflect on this. When was the last time a piece of art moved you so deeply that the world around you faded? What did it reveal to you? Not about the artist, but about yourself. Did it feel like a window to another reality, or a mirror to one you've always known but never named? There's a quiet mystery in this dance between art and reality, a tension that pulls at the edges of our understanding. Some say that art is a mere reflection, a shadow of the world we live in, destined to remain secondary to the concrete and the measurable. Yet, in the silence of a gallery or the dim glow of a theatre, that hierarchy falters. A melody can carry the weight of 1,000 unspoken dreams. A sculpture can hold the stillness of a moment that never was, yet always will be. If reality is what we agree to be true, then art is the whisper that dares us to disagree, to imagine a truth beyond the visible, beyond the known. And so, we are left with a question that hums softly in the background of our thoughts. Does art reveal a reality we've forgotten, a primal essence we've buried beneath the noise of existence? Or is it merely a refuge, a crafted dream we flee to when the weight of the real becomes too heavy to bear? Perhaps the answer lies not in choosing one over the other, but in allowing both to coexist, to weave together in a tapestry of meaning that defies definition. Art, after all, does not demand our certainty, only our willingness to feel, to wonder, to step into the unknown with open eyes and a trembling heart. As you drift with this thought, let it linger. Let it paint its own quiet picture in the stillness of your mind. Imagine for a moment that the very ground beneath your feet, the air you breathe, the bonds you hold dear, might all be a fragile illusion, a construct you've clung to without ever truly questioning its solidity. What happens when doubt creeps in, not as a fleeting whisper, but as a persistent shadow that tugs at the edges of your world? This is not merely a thought experiment, but a moral quandary, a quiet storm that can unravel the very fabric of how we live. Let us wander into this delicate territory, exploring the ethics of questioning reality itself, and whether such a pursuit leads us closer to truth or further from the things that make life worth living. Picture a man named Elias, a thinker, by nature, someone who has always peered beneath the surface of things. He sits alone in a dimly lit room, surrounded by stacks of books, their pages filled with philosophies that challenge the nature of existence. Night after night, he wrestles with the idea that reality might be a mirage, a dream woven by an unseen hand. At first, this questioning feels like a noble quest, a search for ultimate truth. But as the days turn to weeks and the weeks to months, something shifts. The world around him begins to lose its warmth. The laughter of friends becomes a hollow sound, a script he can no longer believe in. The touch of a loved one feels like a phantom sensation, something he can analyze but no longer feel. Elias has stepped so far into the abyss of skepticism that he has lost his tether to the very life he once cherished. His doubt, once a tool for enlightenment, has become a blade that severs him from meaning. Is this the price of questioning reality? Must we risk the beauty of connection, the fragile threads of love and purpose, to chase a truth that may never be found? Consider the weight of such a choice. On one hand, to question is to honor our capacity for thought, to refuse a life of blind acceptance. It is to stand at the edge of the unknown and demand answers, to peel back the layers of illusion in search of something deeper. But on the other, what if this pursuit leads not to clarity, but to isolation? What if, in doubting the reality of the world, we doubt the reality of those who share it with us? Elias, in his solitary room, begins to wonder if his loved ones are mere projections, figments of a mind he cannot trust. And in that wonder, he loses the ability to love them at all. Take a moment to reflect on this. Have you ever doubted something so deeply that it changed how you saw the people around you? Did it bring you closer to truth or further from joy? Let us linger on this tension, this delicate balance between seeking and losing. The ethics of questioning reality are not abstract. They are deeply human. Every philosopher who has dared to ask whether the world is real, from Descartes in his quiet meditations to the ancient sages of the East, has faced this silent cost. To question is to risk alienation, not just from the world, but from oneself. If nothing is certain, if every sensation and every bond might be an illusion, then what anchors us? What prevents us from drifting into a void where nothing matters? And yet, to refrain from questioning is to live in a cage of unexamined belief, to accept a reality that might be false simply because it is comfortable. Is there a middle path, a way to seek without destroying, to doubt without despairing? Imagine Elias at a crossroads. He could abandon his inquiry, return to the world as it appears, and embrace its uncertainties as gifts rather than burdens. He could hold a friend's hand and choose to feel its warmth, even if he cannot prove its truth. Or he could press on, diving deeper into skepticism, knowing that each step might strip away another layer of meaning. There is no right answer here, only a choice and a consequence. The moral weight of questioning reality lies in this. It is not merely a game of the mind, but a journey that shapes how we live, how we love, and how we find purpose in a world that may or may not be as it seems. Let this thought settle over. You like a quiet mist. What would you choose? To seek, even at the cost of connection, or to accept, even at the cost of truth? There is no judgment in this question, only an invitation to ponder the stakes of your own curiosity. For in the act of questioning reality, we do not merely challenge the world, we challenge ourselves and the fragile, beautiful ties that make us human. Take a moment to reflect on this. How far would you go to uncover what is real, and what might you be willing to lose along the way? Imagine for a moment that you're standing on the shore of an endless ocean, its surface a mirror of inky black, reflecting a sky devoid of stars. The waves whisper secrets as they lap at your feet, and in the quiet, you feel the weight of the unknown pressing gently against your chest. It's not fear that stirs within you, but a strange, quiet awe. What lies beneath those depths? What truths or illusions wait to be uncovered? This is not a moment of seeking answers, but of learning to breathe in the presence of mystery, to find a kind of solace in the vastness of all that we cannot know. Throughout our journey of questioning reality, we've wandered through shadows and light, through dreams that blur with waking, and through ideas that unravel the very fabric of what we thought was certain. Now, as we stand at this metaphorical shoreline, there's a shift, a softening. What if the act of questioning, the endless spiral of doubt and wonder, isn't meant to lead us to a final truth? What if the beauty lies in the act itself, in the courage to face the unknown without the need to conquer it? Think of the explorers of old, setting sail, not because they knew what awaited them, but because the horizon called to something deep within their souls. Perhaps we too are explorers, not of lands, but of the boundless expanse of existence. Consider the ocean before you. Its surface hides depths that no light can pierce, and yet standing here you don't feel small or insignificant. There's a strange comfort in its vastness, as if it mirrors the infinite questions that ripple through your mind. What is real? What is illusion? These inquiries, once sharp and urgent, now seem to dissolve into the sound of the waves, becoming less a burden and more a melody. There's a peace in not knowing, in allowing the mystery to be a companion rather than an adversary. Take a moment to reflect on this. Let the weight of needing to know slip away, just for now, and feel the cool air against your skin, the rhythm of the tide matching your breath. This acceptance doesn't mean surrender. It's not about turning away from the search or silencing the mind's curiosity. Instead, it's a quiet rebellion against the fear that often accompanies the unknown. History is filled with those who dared to look beyond the veil, philosophers who questioned the nature of being, scientists who peered into the unseen, and poets who wove the ineffable into words. They didn't always find answers, but in their seeking, they found wonder. Like them, we can stand at the edge of this dark ocean and choose to see it not as a threat, but as an invitation. What if the unknown is not a void to be filled, but a space to be inhabited? A place where the soul can stretch and grow. Picture yourself taking a step closer to the water, feeling the damp sand give way beneath your feet. The cold touch of the tide brushes against your ankles, and for a moment, you wonder if this ocean is real, if this sensation is true, or if it's all a fleeting dream. But then, another thought emerges, soft and unhurried. Does it matter whether this moment is a construct of your mind or a fragment of some greater reality? The feeling of the water, the sound of the waves, the vastness before you, it all stirs something within. Perhaps that stirring, that quiet sense of connection to something larger, is the truest thing of all. Let this thought settle over you like a gentle mist, blurring the line between what must be known and what can simply be felt. There's a kind of liberation in embracing the mystery, in allowing questions to exist without the demand for resolution. It's akin to sitting beneath a tree on a summer's day, watching the leaves sway in a breeze you cannot see. You don't need to understand the wind to feel its touch, to know it's there. So, too, with the nature of reality. We may never grasp its full shape, never hold its essence in our hands, but we can feel its presence in the quiet moments, in the spaces between our thoughts. We can let the unknown be a source of wonder, a reminder that life is not a puzzle to be solved, but a tapestry to be woven with threads of curiosity and awe. As you stand here, gazing into the endless dark of the ocean, let a sense of peace wash over you. The questions that once felt like thorns in your mind now seem to soften, becoming part of the landscape of your being. What if this act of questioning, this dance with the unknown, is not a path to a destination, but the journey itself? What if, in learning to live with mystery, we uncover a deeper kind of knowing, one that doesn't rely on certainty, but on the quiet strength of wonder? Take a moment to reflect on this. Breathe in the salty air, listen to the endless rhythm of the waves, and let yourself be held by the vastness of all that remains unanswered. Here, at the edge of the unknown, there is no need to fear. There is only the invitation to be, to wonder, and to marvel at the mystery that surrounds us all. Imagine for a moment the weight of a warm cup in your hands, the subtle heat seeping into your skin, grounding you in this very instant. It's a simple act, one you've done countless times without thought. Holding a drink, feeling its reality between your palms. But as you sit there, in the quiet of an ordinary day, a whisper of curiosity stirs. Is this warmth real? Is the solid curve of the cup, the faint aroma rising from it, truly as it seems? Or is it all a fleeting illusion, a trick of the mind that vanishes the moment you look too closely? This is where we find ourselves now, returning to the mundane after a long journey of questioning, yet seeing it through eyes that are no longer quite the same. There's a strange beauty in this return, a quiet tension between the familiar and the unknown. Think of the ground beneath your feet, the steady rhythm of your breath, the way the light falls across the room. These are the anchors of your world, the things you've always trusted to be real. But after peering into the shadows of doubt, after wondering if reality itself might be a dream or a construct, these simple sensations carry a new weight. They feel both more precious and more fragile, as if they could slip through your fingers like mist if you question them too deeply. And yet, there's a certain peace in this uncertainty, a gentle acceptance that perhaps the question of real matters less than the experience itself. Consider for a moment the countless mornings you've woken to a world that feels solid, predictable, unchanged. The creak of a door, the murmur of distant voices, the texture of bread as you break it apart. These are the threads of the ordinary, weaving a tapestry you call life. But now, as you hold that warm cup or trace the edge of a table, there's a subtle shift. You notice the way your senses linger on each detail, as if searching for a seam in the fabric of reality, a hidden clue that might unravel it all. It's not fear that accompanies this noticing, but a kind of quiet wonder. What if this moment, this seemingly insignificant act, is all there is? What if it's enough, whether it's real or not? Take a moment to reflect on this. Let your thoughts drift to the small, ordinary things around you right now. The weight of your own body against a chair, the faint hum of the world outside, the rhythm of time passing in its unnoticed way. Do these things feel different now, after all the questions we've carried? Do they seem more vivid, or perhaps more mysterious, as if they hold secrets just out of reach? There's an old saying, often whispered in moments of stillness, that the world is both a mirror and a mask. It reflects what we believe it to be, while hiding truths we may never grasp. As you return to the ordinary, to the simple act of being here, you might feel this duality. The warm cup in your hands is a mirror of comfort, of routine, of all you've known, yet it's also a mask, concealing the vast unknown that lies beneath every sensation, every thought. And perhaps that's the gift of questioning reality, not in finding answers, but in learning to live with the mystery, to hold both the mirror and the mask with equal tenderness. So as you move through your day, through the mundane motions that stitch your hours together, carry this curiosity with you. Let it linger as you touch the cool surface of a window, as you hear the rustle of leaves or the distant call of a bird. Wonder quietly if these things are as real as they seem, or if that question even needs an answer. Let the world be both a mystery and a gift, something to marvel at even in its smallest details. For in this return to the ordinary, you are not the same as you were before. Your eyes are wider, your heart a little more open to the enigma of it all. And in that, the journey of questioning reality does not end here. It continues softly, in every breath you take, in every moment you choose to truly see.